A little hypothetical for Lions fans today, and Stacey Dales from the NFL Network.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's a Friday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network. Matt Dery with you on this Friday, January 23rd, into a snowy weekend and Saturday, January 24th. Thanks for making us your first listen, of course, and checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Lions today, brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode every game day during the NFL playoffs. So this Sunday, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. As we talked about, Stacey Dales, NFL reporter for the NFL Network, coming up in moments here on the show. We'll get her thoughts on this past Lions season. She's based out of Chicago, so she's got a lot of knowledge of the Bears. She's going to be in Seattle for the NFC Championship game this weekend. We'll get Stacey's thoughts on all of that coming up momentarily here on the program. Also, we've got a wild mock draft for you at the end of the show. No edge rusher, no D tackle, no offensive lineman in the first round at number 17 for the Lions in this mock draft. We will go over that coming up momentarily. First things first, though, I'm going to play a little hypothetical with Lions fans. And I'm well aware that there are still some Lions fans, some, not going to say most, not going to say all. I'm going to be very careful with my words. Amon-Ra. I'm going to be very careful with my words. There are some Lions fans that are still upset, disappointed that Mike McDaniel is not the offensive coordinator for the Lions. He is scheduled to be the offensive coordinator in LA with the Chargers under Jim Harbaugh. But I have a little hypothetical for Lions fans, and I got to throw this out there. Mike McDaniel today is interviewing for the Buffalo Bills head coaching job. What if, or imagine if the Lions had hired McDaniel and the place was going nuts. Everybody was excited. Lions fans, media members. Oh man, we got the creative genius, McDaniel with Dan Campbell and all this stuff. But Mike McDaniel was still going to be interviewing for head coaching jobs. Imagine if that was the case here. Out in LA with the Chargers, they've got like 6 fans. Here, imagine how you would feel if you thought you were getting a guy to replace John Morton. But the caveat was still out there. Well, as long as he doesn't get a head coaching job somewhere else, McDaniel backs out of the Browns interview. But now today is going to interview for the Bills head coaching job. The Bills, by the way, are interviewing Anthony Lynn tomorrow. And, oh, by the way, Phillip Rivers, too. Buffalo Bills think they're a Super Bowl contender. You're going to hire Phillip Rivers? He was just playing last year. He's only coached like high school. Head coach? I don't know what the Bills are doing. But I think Lions fans, I think you would be up in arms going, we thought we were hiring our guy. And look, they hired Drew Petzing, and Drew Petzing hadn't interviewed anywhere else. And maybe the Lions had the McDaniel stories and reports that are out there, wasn't a fit for Detroit, all these things. But I think Lion fans would be really upset if they thought they were getting somebody to be the OC and he's interviewing for other jobs. Now, head coaching jobs. Now, I get it. Most guys like a Mike McDaniel, like a Brian Daboll, guys like that have been a head coach want to stay a head coach. Kevin Stefanski went from the Browns. He stayed a head coach to the Falcons. John Harbaugh went from the Ravens, stayed a head coach to the Giants. So that's not the argument here. The argument is, imagine Lions fans thinking they were getting McDaniel only to lose him if, let's say, he takes the Bills job. We'd be pissed. And then you'd go out and hire somebody and go, well, he was our first choice all along. No, he wasn't. Like, the Chargers, Mike McDaniel is going to be their OC unless he gets the Bills job. Right? Or if somehow some other job opened up. I don't think he's going to become the Raiders coach. I don't think he's going to become the Browns coach. It's just kind of a wild scene here. And I'm playing this hypothetical because I think you guys, especially with everything that went on this past year, the disappointment, the OC failing, that would have been pretty crazy to deal with for Lions fans every day to see, well, we have an OC, but we're still waiting for him. He might not come here. And then you're getting a second choice. I just don't like that karma at all. Not at all with that. I don't like that at all. Meantime, and I've done this before on this show, and I'll do it again. We are still very lucky here. And it's I value it here that the franchise is in good hands. That the Detroit Lions for the last 4 years, and despite this past year, which was a failure, winning more games than losing games for 4 years in a row, the Lions are in good hands. They've got a structure. They've got a good owner. They've got a good president. They've got a good GM. They've got a good head coach. All these things. And I'm putting Spielman in there as president with Rod Wood and all of that. Mike Disner, all of it. Imagine being a fan of the Cleveland Browns, who are nowhere near getting a head coach, have been turned down for interviews because they're too analytical and too data-driven. And the Browns have been looking for a head coach for like a month, or this whole month of January, and still haven't fulfilled the Rooney Rule yet. Imagine being a fan of that franchise. So when you're upset at the Lions and when you're thinking, man, I still don't like this OC hire, and where are we going with all that? Just remember, they're not the Cleveland Browns. You're not the Las Vegas Raiders. And I get it. The Raiders are going to get Mendoza. That should be fun. Still don't have a head coach. The Bills botching their owner and head and team president press conference the other day. Lions are in good shape. I still believe that. And there's so many other teams doing so many stupid things. The Lions are not one of them. All right, Stacey Dales, NFL Network reporter, was on hand for the Lions and Bears in Week 18. We will talk to her coming up next, right here on a Friday edition of Locked on Lions. And the program today brought to you by our friends at TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online, and they handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction possible. It's a huge time saver and gives real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150, all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate. Get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. All right, as promised, everybody, one of the best NFL reporters out there, 17 years at the NFL Network, Stacey Dales, joins us today on Locked on Lions. Stace, good to see you.
Matt, it's good to be with you. It's been another wild year in the NFL.
Yes, and you've got to be freezing after all these games at Soldier Field. You poor thing, right?
Yeah, it's been a winter now. It's been a winter. It's been some really frigid temperatures, sub-degree, wind chill type deals. And the Bears actually were good this year. So I had quite a few Bears games because I live in the Chicago area, the greater Chicago area. And, it was a fun ride. I think we saw a division in the NFC North sort of topsy-turvy and a big switch from the Lions kind of owning it for the last couple of years.
Let me ask you about that, because you were in the building for Week 18. Lions go into Chicago and win that game when it really didn't mean anything, but there was meaning behind the Lions playing everybody, whether it was a farewell for Taylor Decker or a Dan Skipper who just retired, even Graham Glasgow. But what kind of a sense did you get around the environment of the Lions that day?
Well, they played with nothing to lose. That was certainly the case. I remember speaking with Aiden Hutchinson after on camera, and he was actually quite emotional, Matt. And I was impressed. I was impressed with the defensive performance. It was a game Chicago desperately wanted to win to affect their seeding in the tournament, so to speak. And I felt like the Lions went out there with nothing to lose. Hey, let's send this season out with a bang. They knew they weren't going to go to the playoffs. And it's a good way to finish if you're Detroit. Now, they're not going to be the same team next year. No teams are, as you know, in this league. But, I thought it was interesting that Brad Holmes, the general manager, talked for roughly 40 minutes with the media in his sort of exit meeting with the media this recently, and took ownership, said we got to be better, it starts with me. And I was impressed with that. I think you're going to see a lot of turnover with the roster, but certainly a good way to finish the 2025 season if you're a Detroit Lion, and for their fans as well.
What do you think went wrong? Because obviously you're at a few games, and I know you've been here, but why did this turn out to be a last place team? I know they tied with Minnesota, but still nobody expected this here.
Yeah, I think you saw a lot of, yet again, unfortunately for Detroit, a ravaged team defensively with injuries. When you lose guys like Kirby Joseph and Terrion Arnold and, players of that caliber, it's a problem. And so, that was one part of it. I think you saw an offensive line that wasn't the same. Obviously, Frank Ragnow retiring was, that was a game changer for the Detroit Lions. You suddenly have to now put all the onus and responsibility on your quarterback's shoulders with new pieces and parts there. You have a guy like Tate Ratledge, who I think is going to be a really good player, somebody that I really enjoy watching. And he's such a passionate student of the game. But young players with that offensive line, now Jared Goff has to shoulder a lot more responsibility with those checks and balances at the line of scrimmage. And I also thought, Matt, that this just wasn't the same rushing attack. I did not believe David Montgomery was as involved as necessary. You saw Jahmyr Gibbs used so much in the passing game, and I often wondered where that power run game was, where it disappeared to. And, week 10, Dan Campbell takes over the play calling duties. Did the offense change that much? No, but it changed with John Morton as the offensive coordinator and the exodus of Ben Johnson now in Chicago. So you saw a difference with the run game, which I think is why Petzing is the new offensive coordinator. He's going to bring some run game stability, I think, Drew Petzing, and we'll see what they get back to on the ground in Detroit.
I know you've spoken to David Montgomery many times on camera. Do you think he'll be back? You mentioned roster turnover.
Yeah.
To me, he's one of your better players, and you always want to have good players out there. Yet, like you said, touches. Maybe he told Brad Holmes in his exit interview, "Send me somewhere." Brad, even in his presser, like you said at the end of the year, it sounded like it could be a new spot for David. But yet, man, what a great guy to have on this team, and fans love him here.
He's just a steady guy, right? Like, he's so steady, he's so reliable, he's pretty durable. And, I know a lot of teams that would love to have him on their offense. I think Brad made it pretty clear that they would like to find a way to bring David Montgomery back, but they've got a lot of guys on this roster that are due contracts extensions. And so we'll certainly see. But if he does stay as a Detroit Lion, you'd love to get that two-headed monster back, right? Sonic and Knuckles back. And again, I think in bringing in Drew Petzing, who, you saw it in Arizona most recently, where he likes to do some things in the run game. And I think that's what was so most impressive. One of the most impressive things, Matt, to me about Ben Johnson is how multiple he really is schematically when it comes to the run game, whether it's the wide zone, the power inside game, the way that he uses and manipulates the tight ends. And I think that was probably a big part of the conversation in the hiring of Drew Petzing.
No, I don't think there's any question about it. Drew Petzing, by the way, as you know, was in Ben Johnson's wedding. So another claim to fame, I guess. Stacey Dales with us, heading to Seattle tomorrow for the Sunday NFC Championship game. You brought up a great point about getting back to power run game and everything else. Is it just so much this year that the Bears leapfrogged the Lions because that offensive line was rebuilt and was fantastic, and the Lions O-line looked like the Bears O-line from last year?
Yeah, I think continuity does matter, but I also think, like Joe Thuney, that singular addition. This is a future Hall of Fame player. I mean, he may even be a first ballot. I'll go ahead and say it. I don't know many offensive linemen that have gone first ballot, but Joe Thuney should be one. His ability to, if you look at the last game alone, to swing out to the left tackle because Ozzie Trapillo's injured and out for the season, and then they have to shuffle the Bears do against a defensive front. This Rams defensive front is no joke. They have the ability to pressure you without blitzing, and they will do a number of different stunts and games up front to get that pressure towards the quarterback in the drop back game. For Chicago to be able to flush Thuney out, just like the Kansas City Chiefs did to the left tackle spot, really, really impressive. And so just him alone, Ryan Poles did a nice job retooling it. But I think Ben and his ability to extract the good stuff from his guys, Matt, like he's a real teacher. And I think he had assembled a really nice staff in Chicago. And I think you saw it come to life. You saw it come to fruition. And certainly the changes in Detroit were felt with their offensive line. Frank Ragnow matters. And so I'll be interested to see if I think the original plan was generally in conversations I've had with Lions folks is Tate Ratledge is going to be that center. He's ultimately at some point going to be that center. We don't know that at this stage. And so do they draft somebody specifically at the position, or do they go out in free agency like the Bears did and get somebody to fill those very important spots?
I love that. It's interesting. I'm at a place now here in Michigan where everybody hates Ben Johnson. It's been a complete 180 heel turn, WWE stuff. You're in a town where, oh my gosh, I mean, they're building the statue already, right?
Yeah.
What's that been like to see the different Ben Johnson that maybe you were around 2 years ago that you're around now?
This is sports. This is the beauty of sports. You love to have rivals. You love to have enemies. And we don't have competitive, professional, National Football League level play if we don't have these. I mean, guess who else hates Ben Johnson? The Green Bay Packers. Matt LaFleur.
Yeah,
and maybe the Minnesota Vikings too. It was a quick rise to fame, but it was a very methodical rise to fame because he is so intentional. Ben Johnson is measured. He's intentional. He's passionate. But the word measured for me, I mean, he had a plan for Caleb Williams all the way back to OTAs, all the way through the offseason, into training camp, into the preseason games. And they lose their first 2 games. No panic. Let's not hit the panic button. Let's figure out how to get this young quarterback in a comfortable position, tweak some mechanics, and get this cadence to where this quarterback is comfortable. And that is the growth we saw, a beautiful, masterful job of maturation for Caleb Williams this season in year 2. He's going to be a special player, I think, for many years, Matt, but a lot of credit goes to Ben Johnson for that ability to evolve and teach with him.
A couple more for Stacey Dales, NFL Network reporter, will be down on the field, of course, for Seattle and the Rams this weekend. What do you think of this game? And what are your thoughts as you head out west?
It's going to be wild. That Lumen Field is a wild place to go, not unlike the Ford Field atmosphere that we're used to in Detroit. This is a really fascinating game because you have obviously divisional foes from the West and a quarterback in Matthew Stafford who's probably going to be the most valuable player this season. Led the league in touchdowns, I believe, in passing yards. He was knocking on the door of 5,000 passing yards, 46 touchdowns in the regular season, and a career best game in Seattle, week 16, a wild game. I mean, they were at almost 600 total yards of offense, the Rams, and they lose in overtime to Seattle at home. Now, Seattle goes to the Rams, and the Rams beat them there in week 11, which was a real defining moment for Mike McDaniel's team as I get ready to cover the Seahawks. They haven't lost since. They haven't lost since that game. So this big storylines, obviously the Seattle defense is formidable, suffocating defensively, the best scoring defense in football, facing the best scoring offense in football. Matthew Stafford's crew averaging about 31 per game this year. And then can Sam Darnold take care of the football? 6 interceptions this season to that Rams defense. And I mentioned their defensive front. It is stout, their front 7. So, gosh, they split the regular season. I think it's going to be another down to the wire type game in Seattle for a trip to the Super Bowl.
Final thing, I have to ask you about this because you went viral last weekend. The video work, and look, you're on camera. You're not a camera person, but like your work with your phone with the Cole Kmet touchdown went viral. Everybody saw your angle of it because you were right there.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think, I mean, I don't know how many views it has now on Instagram, but my goodness, Stacey, you did a damn good job there. How you get that many views?
You know, first of all, much respect to all the camera ops doing games like those, because they're out there for 3 hours. I came out under 2 minutes is when we're allowed on the field. And your hands are burning in that cold weather and that wind chill. But, you know, understanding where Caleb Williams has really liked throwing the football, which has been the deep left end zone, right to the left, I felt like it was a good place to go. And it ended up being right place, right time. And, you know, Cole Kmet's one of my favorite players to ever cover in this league. He's an incredible player, also just a great dude. And so for he and I to find each other in that moment, it's happenstance, right? Like it was a cool deal. And I'm glad I could share that. You know, we have the beautiful part of this game for me is I love football Sundays. I love game days. And if I can be a fly on the wall for fans or anybody who follows me, and it's a gratitude type moment that I can share those moments with others. And so, yeah, it was a cool deal in the divisional round, and we'll see what we get out of the NFC Championship. We'll see who wins on the AFC side as well. No Bo Nix in there, man. It's gonna be wild if Mike Vrabel takes the New England Patriots to the Super Bowl. I won't be shocked if it happens, though. They've done an incredible job there in New England. And gosh, we're bound for a fun Super Bowl out in Santa Clara.
No question about it. Stacey, great to see you. Thanks so much for doing this. Safe travels out to Seattle, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, Matt.
Stacey Dales from the NFL Network. Man, she was fantastic. What a great guest. And Locked On Lions today brought to you by our friends at Game Time NFL Season. We're down to our final 4. Nothing like being at a game. Crowd noise, energy, cheering alongside other fans. Watching at home is great, but being in the stadium hits different. The frustrating part has always been getting tickets, waiting in queues, dealing with logins, and watching prices change right at checkout. That's why the Game Time app gives the advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing NFL playoff tickets and experiences in just a few taps. The app is incredibly intuitive. Browsing, comparing, and buying tickets only takes minutes. And one of my favorite features is being able to see the view from your seat feature. It's the best. Right before you buy, just so you know where you're going to be. All right, there are no surprises. They got zone deals which stand out as well. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save even more money. Take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today and get back to being there live. And the program today also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel's in playoff mode. Every game during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. So Sunday, big day on FanDuel. Right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets that you like most, right? Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. So just open your Profit Boost Pack first thing on Sunday and see what boost that you want to apply. It's simple. You make your picks, apply your Profit Boost, go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your Profit Boost Pack every NFL playoff game day. All right, we appreciate you making Locked On Lions your first listen of the day, every day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Do not forget, if you've not checked it out already, please do. It's our Locked On Lions brand new Everydayer Club. You get access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Lions. You don't have to hear the ads. It's great. Compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. Also, you're invited, once you're in the Everydayer Club, to our Locked On Lions Everydayer Club Discord server. We got the group chat on there for listeners. We're going back and forth on the St. Brown comments the other day. All of that is there for you as well. Go to lockedonlions.supercast.com to join us in the Everydayer Club, or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. All right, we're going to see a lot of mock drafts over the next, 3 months. We're just going to see a lot. And I saw one yesterday and I went, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to bring this up on the Friday show. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but I saw a mock draft at foxsports.com that doesn't have the Lions taking an offensive lineman, doesn't have the Lions taking a defensive lineman, doesn't have the Lions taking an edge rusher, a D tackle, a center, a guard, a tackle, nothing. It's a mock draft where Caleb Lomu, the big tackle from Utah, slides all the way to 23, where I think the Lions would snag him so fast at 17, it wouldn't even be funny. Instead, this mock draft has the Lions, foxsports.com, taking Avion Terrell, cornerback from Clemson. Now, this is the younger brother of Falcons corner and Pro Bowler A.J. Terrell. And they write, quote, Avion has had a ton of production in 3 seasons at Clemson, recording 25 passes defended, 125 total tackles, 8 forced fumbles, 4 sacks, 3 picks in 1,860 defensive snaps played in that span. Avion will be a great complement to a secondary already featuring Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, and Terrion Arnold, end quote. Mark this down. Our first mock that has the Lions taking a cornerback. Terrell's a good player, was all ACC this year, played a ton as a freshman at Clemson. But corner at 17, when you've got DJ Reed back, Terrion Arnold back, Ennis Rakestraw, they hope back. You got to figure they want to bring Rock Yassin back, Khalil Dorsey. Like, look, you never can have enough corners. And I think the Lions need to invest in a corner or two. But at 17, that one surprised me for sure. All right. Thanks to Stacey Dales for joining us. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay warm. It is frigid out there. This has been a Friday. Locked On Lions. Enjoy the games on Sunday.